everybody, and welcome back to this next episode of Surrounded by Bourbon. My name is Phil Crawford, aka Causeway Whisky. This is episode 11, and today we are looking at George Dickel Tennessee Whiskey, and this is the classic recipe. So Tennessee Whiskey, obviously the most famous is Jack Daniels, and Dickel is probably not quite as synonymous or as famous, but we'll just dive into a little bit of the history and then we'll get onto my tasting notes. I have noted that my last videos were a little long, so I'm going to try to get these under 10 minutes, so I'm not going to waffle too much, guys. Anyway, George Dickel, he was a German-born merchant who settled in Nashville, Tennessee, and he originally sold whiskey that he sourced from local distilleries, and so the George A. Dickel Company was born. So then in 1878, he bought a large share in the Cascade Hollow Distillery, which is where Dickel is now made, and that opened in the neighbouring county of Coffee County. And then in 1888, George A. Dickel and Company became the sole distributor of Cascade Whisky, which was what the whisky was known as, coming from the Cascade Hollow Distillery there. The George Dickel brand didn't actually come about until 1964, and that was created by the Shenley Distilling Company, and then the Cascade Hollow Distillery and eventually the Dickel brand would come into the ownership of Diageo in 1997. So when we look at the front of the bottle here, it's very prominent that it highlights the words sour mash, and I haven't really touched on what a sour mash is yet. So why not cover that base right now? So the sour mash process, to actually make corn fermentable, you need to cook it first. So after it's milled, it's cooked, and that breaks down its proteins, and it also gelatinizes, that's not an easy word to say, it gelatinizes the starch and allows the enzymes in the malted barley to turn those into fermentable sugars. Now, once that mash has been cooled to 21 degrees C or 70 degrees Fahrenheit, then mash that was previously fermented from the previous batch is added into the new ferment. Sometimes also they will use spent beer or liquid that had had the alcohol stripped out from the previous distillation. So it could be either, it could be both. These both have a low pH and they taste sour, hence the sour mash. But that also helps then the yeast to propagate more quickly and to give higher yields. Another unusual thing about Dickel is that when the new make spirit comes off the still, they immediately cool that down to 4.4 degrees centigrade or 40 Fahrenheit before they then do the Lincoln County process, which is the charcoal filtration through sugar maple charcoal. And this is apparently a nod back to George himself when he was creating whiskies, and he found out that whiskey that was made in the colder months tasted a bit smoother. So it is literally all over the label about how smooth tasting this is, and we are going to find out. So this is 40% ABV, it's 80 proof, it's no age statement, but yeah, I'll have to find out actually, and I'll put in the comments kind of roughly what people think it is. The mash bill is 84% corn, 8% rye, and 8% malted barley, and this costs between $20 and $22 a bottle, so it is relatively inexpensive. But let's see how it fares up against some of our previous competitors. So going for the nose first of all. So when I've been doing my notes in these previously, I've just always noted how closed the nose is, and this is really light. There's just not an awful lot, there's not a lot of impact on the nose. Spending a bit of time, you do get some brown sugar, get some oak, there's vanilla, touch of cherry and almonds. But yeah, it's not very complex, there's not a lot going on, and it really doesn't pack much of a punch. Let's see how the palate progresses. So I think the mouthfeel actually for 40% ABV, it's actually not bad. I mean, it's a little thin, but I've definitely had worse experiences with the mouthfeel. And I hate using the word smooth, but I guess it is. There's no real burn here. I prefer to say it's approachable. So, but flavors, okay. So again, a bit like the nose, it's not very impactful. I guess you could say it's a bit generic. It's a bit like if someone asked, what does bourbon taste like? You may say George Dickel. So there's the vanilla, there's a bit of mild oak. There's like a bubblegum flavour kind of in the background. Some almonds again, candied almonds. But yeah, it feels a bit safe and pedestrian and just not really a lot of development. So what about the finish? I mean, it's a bit, it is short. There's a slight metallic tint to it, like a little bit of copper. There's oak and that bubblegum kind of and caramel flavour going on. And that's kind of it. So score wise, well, I'll give you my overall thoughts first of all. There's no kind of off notes on this per se, but it's not impactful either. I mean, this is very much like a sip and forget kind of whiskey. The nose and palate they're fine, they're not exciting, I guess, but there really is no development with this in either the nose or the palate over time. So it does, like I said, feel a little bit generic. I mean, it costs $22, it's not expensive. Score-wise, I mean, it's not terrible, it's not amazing. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. So this is a whiskey pour, it is not one that I am probably going to replace. I will look into other Dickel expressions, of which there are quite a lot. So I will come back to the brand at some point, but you know, there's a lot more to explore. Anyway, there you go, those are my thoughts, guys. Obviously, if you enjoy the content, please like the video, subscribe. Definitely please leave a comment if you have tried Dickel and you think it's a good brand and that there's other expressions that maybe highlight the brand in a better light than this does. But anyway, until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again. Sláinte.